to the Patrick Reagan Show. Go head over heels there at the Go-Go's. I was talking to Jay earlier. I missed saying it. That's not Susanna LaHouse. That's, what's her other name? Susanna LaHouse was with the Bengals. We were talking. I can't, yeah, everybody's screaming her name at the radio right now, but I can't remember the lead singer.
I can find out.
I don't know if it's that important. But anyway, I'll let my brain think about it, and it'll spit it out in the middle of this next segment. All right. Welcome back here to the Patrick Reagan Show here on the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network and News Talk 98.7 WOKI. You know, even though this whole gay marriage issue is a sideshow, it's a distraction to the main problem of our government spying on us, I'm going to take a few minutes to address it simply because so many people don't know what to think, or even more vexing, or looking at it the wrong way. I've had a ton of emails asking me what I thought about all this, and I've covered it here and there on this radio show before. And if you want to hear that, you can go to our show archives at youtube.com/Patrick Reagan Show. But since it's been a little while and the listeners to this show are growing so quickly, I'll go ahead and address this whole idea of same-sex marriage and what you should think about it. Not what you should feel about it, what you should think about it. I'll just talk about marriage equality, and I just want to ask, equal to what? Why should there be any marriage recognition by any government in a country that is supposed to be treating everyone equally? The government certainly treats us all the same when it comes to vacuuming up our phone calls and internet records into a database. In reality, there should be no recognition by the government of whether or not you're married. You may say, but Patrick, what about taxes? Same-sex couples can't file together. Well, that shouldn't be available in the first place. We should all be paying the same amount of tax. Besides, an income tax is an unfair tax to begin with. Why should I have to pay more tax merely because I can afford it? Because, Patrick, that's fair. If you can pay more, then you should have to. Poor people can't afford to pay the same. Well, the answer for that is make more money. If you want more stuff, make more money. It's a pretty simple equation. The hard fact of life is we aren't all the same. Some people are rich, and some people are poor. Some people are beautiful, and some people aren't. That's life. Trying to achieve some mystical equality here on earth is fruitless. Punishing people who make more money is not fair. I don't care what argument you use. Our government treating two people differently is wrong. I would bet 90% of Americans, or even I'll go so far as to say 90% of people in this world, can't tell me why that is. Why a government treating one person differently than another is wrong. Well, here's the answer. It's because when you do that, someone has to decide who we are going to be treating differently. Who is getting that tax break? Who is getting that preferential treatment and job selection? Who is getting that contract based on factors other than price and quality of work? And when you do that, you open up the process to corruption. We're all human. We all have human failings. When you have someone deciding that one person is more important than another, that's when we start having problems. Now, you doing it in your personal life, that's your own business. But when it comes to government, there should not be a pecking order. All of this is our government. We are all in charge. None of us has a greater claim on this government than anyone else, or shouldn't anyway. We all know in reality that doesn't play, because there's so much to be gained in Washington and government at all levels. There is so much to be gained by bribing government representatives and bureaucrats that this corruption won't stop on its own. The government is taking in so much money and redistributing it that the temptation and the rewards are too great for people to not try and take advantage. If you want the root of the problem, that's it. Too much money in government for its own good, for our own good. The only way to rein all this in is to cut that back. Cut budgets, cut taxes, move all this money back to the people of this country. People who will make thousands and thousands of decisions every day on how to spend it, which is ultimately a much better way of doing things because it decentralizes power, and that's good. It's also the exact antithesis of what government wants. centralized power. And like absolute power, which corrupts absolutely, centralized power makes that corruption easier and more efficient. But I'm getting off track here. The government has no reason to be telling anyone anywhere who they can live with and who they can't. It's none of anyone's business but the two people actually living together. Why is the government licensing marriage anyway? You know, originally it was to keep white people from marrying anyone who wasn't white. So that's the system we want to keep perpetuating? A racially discriminatory licensing system? Well, Patrick, marriage licenses aren't used for that anymore. Fine, then do away with that system. Why are we keeping a system around that we no longer use? Because it's one more way the government gets money and controls the population. Now, is that conspiratorial? Of course not. It's a fact. There's no reason to be licensing marriages. None. Why do you need permission from the mother country to get married? Do you belong to government? Back when slavery existed in this country, the slaves had to get permission from their owners before they could get married. Now, haven't we done away with that by now? If we are free and own ourselves, why do we need permission from anyone to get married? All these news reports talk about how gay marriage is such a divisive issue. Well, why? What is dividing us in this country? It's minding other people's business. What do I care about what you're doing? If I'm not minding your business, then how can what you are doing bother me? If we were living according to the Constitution, now this would be everyday life. But Patrick, gay marriage kills our American culture. Really? You're going to tell me in all history of this country there haven't been gay people living together? Or how about, Patrick, it's against God's commandments? Well, yeah, you're right. But that's a religion, not a government. If I mention Sharia law, everyone starts going crazy. We don't want Sharia law. Those Muslims are trying to get it implemented in England already. We don't want it here in the United States. Well, why not? You're trying to base governmental decisions on Christian law. What's the difference between one religion imposing its views on the citizens or another? Either way, you're ignoring the fact that all people are born with natural human rights. We stated as much in our Declaration of Independence, something that we're getting ready to celebrate this week. All men are created equal. They have certain unalienable rights. Among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As long as the exercise of those rights, and they aren't limited to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, because you notice the wording, among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, meaning there's a multitude more. We're just naming these. It's like saying among the planets of the solar system are Earth and Mars. There's more, but we're just naming those for the purposes of what we're talking about right now. But back to my argument, as long as the exercise of those rights, those unlimited natural rights that we all have, as long as you aren't infringing on someone else's same natural rights, then you should be free to do whatever you want, however you want to do it. All right, man, we're up on the last segment already of the Patrick Reagan Show. When we come back, we might dip our toes into that swimming pool of immigration a little bit. And, heck, maybe I'll have the name of the lead singer for Go-Go's when we come back. It's floating around in my brain somewhere. Join us in a couple of minutes.